Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Student Spotlight series where we showcase some of the work that our students have done. My name is Jackson, and today it's my pleasure to be speaking with Thanika. Thanika, can you tell us just a bit about yourself,
Yeah.
where you're from, your year in school, and what course you took with CCIR?
Yeah. So I'm Tanika and I'm a senior at Newport High School, which is located in Bellevue, Washington State. And the current course or the course that I did with in CCIR is the one-on-one research mentorship with Dr. Hannah Rana.
And what field of study was that?
Yeah, so the field of study I did was kind of a combination of aerospace and artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
What research did you undertake with your mentor?
Yeah, so specifically, the research that I did was I created a machine learning model that was able to predict the success rates of rocket launches at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what coursework or research did you undertake to make that predictive model?
Right. So, I already have aerospace experience as I am in the rock. I've been in the rocketry club for 4 years in my high school, so I already had that kind of motivation and that a kind of like base structure about aerospace. And I've also done like several like coding and like AI classes in my school, so I had a foundation for both courses going in, which is why I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of like collaborate and combine both of those together. But obviously, with my mentor, she has way more expertise and she's an amazing person. She kind of gave me a deeper dive into each subject. I remember her teaching me about like the different models that I could use for my project and just different parts about rockets and like what I should know.
Gotcha. Could you tell us how you came to the decision of which model you were going to end up using?
Yeah, so initially she had provided me with several or like an overview of the different kinds of models that I could use, and that combined with just like my knowledge from before, as I've done like kind of some AI programs in the past, as well as like I had to do a lot of research on thinking like which model will best fit this project because there isn't really like 100% aligned model that will fit the project. Like I had to find just the one that would best fit, and that's how I came across the classification model, which is just like it classifies between when launches are likely to succeed and when launches are likely to get postponed. And I don't think I mentioned before the main like goal of my or not goal, but like the main structure of my project was it was revolving around the weather in Florida.
Okay. What could you tell us, like, as far as findings or patterns about what predicted a successful launch with the Florida weather?
Yeah, so I initially started the project doing making I initially made the project around kind of rainfall and wind shear, which I just thought was the most susceptible to like postponing rocket launches, just because with my own experience in rocketry at my school, like I live in Washington State, so rain is always almost always a problem, and wind is sometimes a problem. So I thought that, those would be the two easiest factors to kind of tackle. But upon further research and after collecting data, I found that it didn't really like create a big problem for the launches that were being the launches that were occurring at NASA Kennedy Space Center. So that's when my mentor, she led me to this meteorologist group that actually works there, and they had told me to check out lightning instead, just because Florida has a lot of lightning storms that occur typically during the summer too, which is when most launches occur. So that's why I kind of found that lightning was actually the biggest indicator of or was the biggest indicator of whether a launch would go through successfully or would be postponed.
Okay. So what is it about? I mean, maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, but
Yeah.
what is it about lightning that makes it a strong indicator of NASA launches getting canceled?
Yeah, I think primarily what it is lightning is often very unpredictable, and there's you can't really modify your rocket just for lightning because lightning, it has to do like the electric field, a lot of different things. Whereas when there's rainfall or like wind, even there's you can do like design modifications, or like you can make operational changes on the spot maybe. And honestly, yeah, I've had that pattern just with my own experience. Like even when it's raining, sometimes we do choose to launch, which because it's like it doesn't necessarily create a problem, but when you have lightning, it's just like very unpredictable, and you can't really change your rocket based off lightning. It's just kind of hard, yeah.
So why then do so many of NASA's launches out of Kennedy Space Center take place, do you know, at this time of year?
I actually don't know that, but I'm guessing maybe it's more. I know Florida has to do in the winter, or maybe, yeah, like later in the year, hurricanes and things might occur. So I'm guessing summer is probably just the most consistent time of weather, even if there are thunderstorms. Of course, there's like the sun, and launching in sunny weather is most optimal. So I'm just guessing it's more predictable than the later seasons.
Okay, interesting. And could you tell us about some of the challenges or barriers that came with putting together this predictive model?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the first half of my project I started off with rainfall and then wind shear, and I thought that would be like perfect, like that would be the factor. But then like almost nearing my project or nearing the end of my project, I chose to make while I started the creation of my model, which honestly was kind of the easier part of the project. I feel like research is always the hardest part when in a project.
Mm.
Yeah, I found that I made a scatter plot that kind of had, rainfall on the y-axis and just like different dates that launches occurred on the x-axis, and points were plotted from taking historical data from the Kennedy Space Center archive. And I colored the successful launches green and I colored the postponed launches red, and I was hoping to see, kind of like a difference between them, to be like, okay, yeah, at this threshold of rainfall, launches are always postponed. This launches at this threshold of rainfall, launches are always succeeded. But I didn't really get that clear like distinction line between the both, and that was the same with wind shear. So obviously, like the second half of my project, I had to switch completely into lightning, which meant I had to collect data all over again. And
Mm.
I would say another one of the major problems was just like the data in the Kennedy Space Center Weather Archive. It was all in like different format. The like even like each year had a different format of data, which meant that like even if I could create some kind of model to just like autonomously like extract data for me, I had to kind of teach it how to account for the different like types of data. Yeah.
But you did make
Yeah, I
a
was
model
able to
to
make it.
extract.
It did take a while, but I was able to make one that kind of I had to just tell it to, show it all the different types of data they were and show it how to like maneuver through each one. Yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Um, what was maybe something that surprised you over the course of your research project?
Yeah, so I would say just like how well AI and machine learning can work together with aerospace. Like prior to starting the project, obviously I've heard of like AI being integrated into different fields, like the medical field, but I haven't really like heard about it being integrated specifically into aerospace. And I was surprised like how well it was able to help just like in the context of weather, which also kind of taught me that like it kind of showed me that when you have like environmental data, let's say for other fields, like AI could perfectly work for that too. Yeah, I didn't really think the intersection alignment would be like as helpful as it actually was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you prepare a paper with your findings in this
Yeah, I
project?
prepared a research paper and I've submitted it for publication. So,
Oh, very nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Any idea when you'd hope to hear back from them? From the
Yeah,
publication?
I think typically it takes them, they did say they have a large volume of applicants, so I would say like 4 to 8 weeks. So I'm hoping maybe it's April right now, almost May. Maybe like June, end of June, July.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you come to this question about launch predictability and AI? Was this a research gap you identified with your mentor? Something you mentioned you have already experience with, I suppose, model
Yeah.
rocketry. How did you come to this question?
Yeah, so I actually initially told my mentor, like, oh, I was interested in weather and rocketry, and I didn't really bring up AI until after she mentioned it. She was the one who kind of guided me through the question of like how to combine the three of these because I had, weather, I had rocketry, and then I had AI, but I didn't really know how to combine all of them. Yeah, and I would say she's like the primary factor in telling me like, oh, you could create a model like this that would help you, predict if this launch would be successful. And yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. So where do you see yourself creating more predictive models, or where does this project go from here in the future?
Yeah, so the project is currently just based on the data from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, but and it's obviously a very minimal project, and yeah, so I was hoping that maybe in the future it could be used for other space centers all throughout the world. Yeah, and that wouldn't just be feasible to do for me for this project because it would involve like numerous amounts of data sets that I wouldn't be able to use. Or I would be able to use, it would just be like extremely complex. So that's why I had to stick to one space center. But yeah, I would be hoping that I could expand its scope to other space centers throughout the world. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so in the future, in maybe your university studies, you hope to continue working on maybe aerospace engineering or AI, or
Yeah,
what's the future look
so
like?
I mean, my current plan right now is to obviously when I'm in college, I would like to continue to get a deeper dive into AI specifically, and then hopefully I would do a master's, or I would also take courses at the same time in aerospace engineering, and I would be probably interested in joining like the rocketry club again too, just to see, for this project, I was able to combine AI and aerospace for the factor of weather, but just to see like what other factors I could also kind of collaborate both disciplines on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what was something new or something you had not yet experienced that came with this research project?
So I've actually never done research before, and even thinking to projects at school, it's never really been, research-based projects. Like I would have to maybe go to Wikipedia, research something for an essay, but it wasn't as complex as this. And definitely like I gained the confidence as a student because if someone had asked me before I partook in this research opportunity, if someone had asked me like, "Oh, do you see yourself like publishing an actual research paper on AI and aerospace?" Like it would definitely been a no. But yeah, after that I took this opportunity, like it's just like sometimes I look at my paper and I don't even believe like I did that. Yeah, it was a very great opportunity and like very insightful.
That's amazing. I love that. No, it's not a common experience, or it's not something that every high schooler decides to dedicate
Right.
themselves and
Yeah.
work on. So
Yeah.
kudos. So how did you what drew you to CCIR, or what made you say I wanna do this mentorship program?
Yeah, so I found this CCIR through a friend, and they had actually recommended it. And I did my own research into CCIR, and I found I did the one-on-one research with the mentor, but they had so many different opportunities prior to me deciding exactly which one I wanted to do. They had so many different like types of things that I could do, whether it's like peer group, or the one-on-one like what I did, or they even had like in-person research opportunities. I of course did the online one, but yeah, other than just like the types of opportunities that they offered, like even the professors who help students, like they all seem very technical and like they had a lot of expertise, which was what I feel like I needed just for something so niche as what I did, kind of combining AI and aerospace. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I guess on that, could you tell us a little bit about your mentor, what their research
Yeah.
is, what
Yeah.
their areas of interest are?
Yeah, so my mentor was Dr. Hannah Rana, and she as a professor at Harvard University, or a researcher at Harvard University, and she was involved in Harvard through the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and as well as the Black Hole Initiative, which kind of focuses on black holes and how we detect them. Uh, she also has worked with major international space missions, including NASA and the ESA, which helps shows how we can help design advanced instruments to study extreme space environments.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
I mean, what an opportunity.
Yeah, I know. It's
Um,
insane.
what's could you tell us maybe some things that you learned from her as a researcher that you would
Yeah.
adopt going forward?
Yeah, honestly, this might seem simple, but like I feel the biggest thing I learned from her is to like practice makes perfect for the research because obviously when I was almost like 60% done with my project, I faced a major setback, which was obviously like very defeating because it was after weeks of working. It was kind of the feeling of like, oh, everything I just did was for nothing. And she's the one who kind of showed me that this is like this always happens during research. It's you never get it right on the first try. You just have to keep trying again and it will eventually work out. And she was also the one who kind of connected me to the meteorologists at NASA as well, which I'm very grateful for because they're the ones who kind of led me the right way. And as soon as I started seeing like positive results again, like I fully understood what she was saying. It's just like in the moment, you always feel kind of like just giving up, especially after if it's like after weeks of rigorous working. But yeah, now that I'm like finished with it, like I feel like even just the setback I had with the rain and the wind, it was like definitely a learning opportunity.
No, I mean, what a way to move through that. I'm sure
Yeah.
that that change was
Yeah.
no, quite a challenge.
Yeah.
So if you had to give yourself a piece of advice at the beginning of the project, or if you were to give advice to someone else embarking on their own one-on-one mentorship with CCIR, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so other than just to, like never give up, like it will work out in the end, I would probably say don't be scared to go out of your comfort zone and, try something new. It's just I never thought I would be able to combine AI and aerospace, like two very complex subjects, but like don't be afraid to ask questions and try something new as well as if there's opportunities like I did to talk to people who actually work at the institution that you're researching, like it might seem scary, but it's actually very helpful to go out of your comfort zone and try new things.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. That's amazing that you got connected
Yeah.
with a meteorologist at NASA and you were
Yeah.
able to
It was
like really,
crazy. Yeah.
you know, how has your idea or understanding of the field of aerospace changed since embarking on this project?
Yeah, so before, I never knew a lot about aerospace specifically because we didn't, even though I'm in the club at my school, they don't really teach you, all these like fundamentals about aerospace and even
Mhm.
just like weather when it rains, like we just cancel the launch. We don't really think about like why or like should we try launching, like, the different like parts of it is just kind of like a yes or no kind of thing. But after taking the project, like I kind of saw how much more complex it actually is in the real world when you're launching, real rockets, and how even something seemingly so small, just like weather or just like lightning, you can actually do so much deeper things with it. And then I also, saw how like machine learning could play a role into it and actually, ease these disciplines that are so complex. Yeah.
So how does the predictive model ease this decision making or how can it be applied?
Yeah, so I would say obviously prior to like AI or kind of more technological use in aerospace, like whether I would say they probably addressed weather problems just through, human judgment, or obviously they would have used past data, but when you do integrate AI into it, like what I did with my model is if I input in like lightning condition, let's say I say, okay, 900 volts per meter, it kind of it outputs a confidence level of how likely the rocket is to succeed. So what I did is, let's say I entered in 900 volts per meter, it would be like, okay, 50% or I'll say 60% rate of acceptance, and based on that, whether it should succeed or not. And the threshold I kind of decided was 60, anything above 60% should succeed and anything below 60% should be postponed, just on based on the data. So if I entered a lightning condition, a lightning value that was, over, if I entered a lightning value that outputted a confidence level of, let's say, 90%, then you could say, okay, yeah, the launch will succeed, and um, therefore we should let it continue.
Gotcha. How did you come to that 60% number?
Yeah, so let me think about the values. Uh, so based on all the, when I did make a scatter plot of the lightning data, unlike the rainfall and wind shear, there was actually a clear distinction. Like you could see all the postponed value or all the succeeded launch dates, they had a lightning value that was under, I think it was under 843 volts per meter. And anything postponed had always had a lightning value of always something that was over, I think, 936 volts per meter. So there was that range between 843 and 936 that, like, I knew something in the middle should be the threshold for whether the launch should continue going or should be delayed. And the reason I chose 915 was because it was kind of the middle ground between the both. So it creates a buffer zone that it prioritizes safety of the flight craft, but also prevents any unnecessary delay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you today.
Thank
Thank you so much
you.
for joining us
Thank you so
and sharing
much.
this with
Yeah,
us
of
about your
course.
work. It
Yeah,
sounds
thank
super
you for the
exciting.
opportunity. Yeah.